Before the stars were born, there was the Word. In this audiobook, you'll rediscover the sacred power within your voice and how it commands the universe itself. Your thoughts, your inner dialogue, your I am statements. They are the architects of your destiny. Speak and reality obeys. Introduction. Long before you learned to shape words with your lips, the power already stirred within you, silent, ancient, immense. Each thought you whisper within, each word you form in secret, is more than a fleeting moment of mind. It is a command issued to the universe. The cosmos, bound by a sacred law older than time, listens intently to the frequency of your inner voice, echoing it back with perfect fidelity. This is no metaphor. It is the original law, the hidden architecture behind all that is seen and unseen. When your self-talk trembles with doubt, reality obliges, sculpting your days with shadows. But when you speak with clarity and sovereign intent, the world reshapes itself to mirror your truth. The mystics of old knew this. Your inner voice is not passive. It is the wand of the magus, the scribe of fate, the unseen brush painting the canvas of your life. Every time you declare I am, you inscribe upon the book of reality an instruction the universal mind must fulfill. Your inner speech is a prayer without end, a ritual you perform each day whether you realize it or not. These silent words, these unseen phrases, ripple through the infinite, drawing to you reflections of your own self-perception. You are not merely thinking, you are evoking. You are not simply speaking, you are summoning worlds. This power extends far beyond wishes and goals. It touches the threads of existence itself, bending the tapestry of life to mirror the sacred syllables spoken within. This is why the wise guarded their thoughts like sacred fire, knowing each whisper held the weight of worlds. So speak with reverence, think with intention, for within your voice lies the seed of stars, and with it you sculpt the very shape of destiny. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Part 1. The Sacred Power Within Your Voice. Chapter 1. The Forgotten Language of Creation. In ancient times, there lived a scribe named Ezra, who spent his days transcribing sacred texts in a temple nestled among mist-shrouded mountains. One morning, while cleaning the temple's deepest chamber, his lamp revealed a weathered stone tablet hidden behind centuries of dust. Upon its surface were markings unlike any he had seen. Not quite hieroglyphs, not quite letters, but something more primordial. As he traced the strange symbols with trembling fingers, the air around him began to hum with an otherworldly resonance. In that moment, Ezra understood. He had discovered the first words ever spoken into existence. These sacred syllables were not meant to remain trapped in stone. As Ezra studied the tablet, he realized these same creative vibrations flowed through every human tongue, waiting to be awakened. The power that shaped worlds resided not in the ancient markings, but in the living breath of all who speak with conscious intention. Before light split darkness, before time began its endless dance, there was the Word. This primordial sound contained within its vibration all that would ever be. Every star, every grain of sand, every dream yet to be dreamed. This same creative force flows through your conscious speech today, making you a co-creator with the divine. When you speak with awareness, you tap into this original power that set the cosmos in motion. In a village far from Ezra's temple lived Miriam, whose tapestries were sought by merchants from distant lands. People marveled at how her threads seemed to capture the very essence of life itself. One day, as Miriam sat at her loom, she noticed something extraordinary. The patterns emerging in her work matched perfectly the quiet words she spoke to herself while weaving. When her inner dialogue sang of spring meadows, flowers bloomed in her tapestry. When her thoughts turned to stormy seas, waves appeared in the threads. Miriam's revelation mirrors a universal truth. Your inner dialogue weaves the very fabric of your reality. Each thought you speak within yourself becomes a thread in the tapestry of your life. Just as Miriam's silent intentions guided her hands, your internal conversations guide the invisible forces that shape your circumstances. Sacred practice. The awakening of voice. Find a quiet place as the sun rises. Sit in perfect stillness, back straight, eyes closed. Feel the creative power gathering in your throat center. With deliberate intention, speak these 3 words of power. I am becoming. As you speak, visualize golden light emanating from your throat, awakening the dormant creative force within your voice. Let each word resonate through your entire being, knowing that you are activating the same creative power that spoke the universe into existence. Chapter 2. When Silence Speaks Louder Than Thunder. In a remote mountain monastery, Brother Marcus maintained his vow of silence for 30 years, yet the village below flourished in ways that defied explanation. Travelers spoke of an invisible force that seemed to emanate from his presence, touching all who crossed his path. Gardens grew more abundant, children laughed more freely, and neighbors lived in uncommon harmony. Without uttering a single word, Brother Marcus had mastered the art of pure influence. The greatest power does not announce itself with thunder, but germinates in the sacred space between thoughts. In these intervals of perfect quiet, you touch the eternal wisdom that exists beyond the realm of words. This is not mere absence of sound, but rather the fertile void from which all meaningful expression emerges. When you learn to rest in silence, you align with the creative force that preceded all existence. Your words, born from this still point, carry the weight of the infinite. Like a sword tempered in fire, each thought that emerges from genuine silence holds an edge that can cut through illusion and manifest reality. Along a storm-swept coast lived Clarence, keeper of the North Point lighthouse. For years he struggled to protect ships from the treacherous rocks, keeping his beacon lit constantly through every hour of darkness. But the continuous light soon became part of the background, causing some vessels to miss its warning entirely. Through bitter experience, Clarence discovered that his lighthouse served its purpose best when its beam pulsed in measured intervals. Bright flash, darkness, bright flash. The rhythm of presence and absence made his signal impossible to ignore. The pattern of Clarence's lighthouse mirrors the rhythm of effective manifestation. Your voice gains its greatest power not through constant declaration, but through the sacred dance of speech and silence. In the quiet spaces between your words, the universe prepares the way for your desires to take form. Just as waves must retreat before gathering their full force, your intentions gather strength in moments of stillness before surging into reality. Sacred practice, the power of purified speech. Find a space where you will remain undisturbed for 10 minutes. Sit comfortably and allow yourself to become completely still. Do not fight against thoughts as they arise. Simply observe them as though watching clouds pass across an endless sky. Let each thought float by without grasping or resistance. When the 10 minutes conclude, speak one intention that has emerged from this purified silence. Feel how your words, born from stillness, now carry the full weight of universal power. Notice how the silence itself seems to amplify and energize your spoken desire, launching it into the cosmic matrix where all creation begins. Chapter 3. The Mirror of Inner Dialogue. In a sunlit atelier, nestled among winding cobblestone streets, Beatrice spent her days crafting fine garments while gazing into an ancient gilded mirror passed down through generations of artisans. As she worked, she began to notice something extraordinary. Her reflection shifted subtly with each thought she voiced to herself. When she muttered, "These stitches will never be perfect," her image appeared dim and uncertain. Yet when she whispered, "My hands create beauty with every thread," her reflection gleamed with an inner light that transformed her entire appearance. Your world operates as this magical mirror did for Beatrice, reflecting back to you with perfect precision the essence of your inner dialogue. Every word you speak to yourself ripples outward, creating waves in the cosmic fabric that manifest as the circumstances of your life. Your relationships, your opportunities, your daily experiences, all are echoes of the ongoing conversation you maintain within your own mind. This mirror-like quality of existence extends into every corner of your reality. When you tell yourself you are unworthy, the universe cannot help but show you evidence of your unworthiness. When you declare your inherent value, the world reshapes itself to mirror this truth back to you. Your inner dialogue serves as the master template from which all your outer experiences are cast. Theodore, a merchant in a bustling market town, discovered this truth through his own journey of transformation. His shop had fallen into decline, and each morning he would walk through its doors thinking, "Another day of struggle, another day of failure." His shelves seemed to grow dustier with each self-defeating thought, his customers fewer with every negative prediction. One dawn, Theodore realized that his business was merely reflecting the story he had been telling himself. With deliberate intention, he began to shift his internal narrative. "My shop serves others with value," he would say as he opened his doors. "Abundance flows to me and through me," he would affirm as he arranged his wares. Within months, his shop transformed as dramatically as his thoughts had, becoming the thriving enterprise he now spoke of in his mind. Sacred practice. The speaking stone. Select a small stone that fits comfortably in your pocket. This will become your reminder of conscious speech. As you move through your day, each time your fingers brush against this stone, pause and notice the nature of your inner dialogue. What stories have you been telling yourself? What reality have you been commanding into existence through your thoughts and words? In this moment of awareness, speak one statement of power that aligns with the reality you wish to create. Feel these words rippling outward through the universe, knowing that the great mirror of existence has no choice but to reflect back to you the truth you have declared. Chapter 4. Breaking the Spell of Unconscious Speech. In a kingdom of ancient lore, Prince Edmund ruled with a heavy heart, for his words seemed cursed to bring only shadow and decline. His once prosperous realm withered as surely as autumn leaves, matching the decay of his own thoughts. "The harvest will fail," he would say, "and the wheat would wither in the fields. The treasury grows thin," he would mutter, "and gold would vanish from the royal coffers." For years he blamed the sorceress who had visited his castle on a stormy night, believing she had cast a dark spell upon his tongue. Yet it was a wise woman from the mountain villages who finally revealed the truth. There was no curse, but the one he spoke upon himself each day. His words of lack and limitation were not the result of dark magic, but rather the echoes of fears whispered to him in childhood, beliefs absorbed from those who came before him. The patterns of speech that shape your reality, like Prince Edmund's, were not chosen consciously. They are ancient recordings, played again and again in the theater of your mind. These inherited dialogues, from parents, teachers, society, have become the invisible architects of your experience, building walls or bridges with each unconscious repetition. Consider Josephine, whose loaves of bread held mysteries beyond mere flour and water. In her small bakery, she noticed that some days her bread rose high and golden, while on others it remained stubbornly dense. After months of identical recipes yielding different results, she began to listen to herself as she worked the dough. On the mornings of perfect loaves, her unconscious whispers were filled with joy. This dough feels alive beneath my hands. The texture is just right. But when her bread failed to rise, she caught herself murmuring criticisms. The temperature isn't right. Something will surely go wrong. The alchemy of her baking transformed not through different ingredients, but through different words. As she became aware of her unconscious patterns of speech, the magic of her craft awakened. Her bread began to rise consistently, responding to her newly conscious intentions rather than her habitual doubts. Sacred practice. The 3 bells of awareness. Place 3 gentle alarms throughout your day, perhaps at morning, noon, and dusk. When each bell sounds, pause in your activities and write down the exact words that were passing through your mind in that moment. Make no attempt to judge or change these thoughts, simply record them with the detachment of a witness. Through this practice, patterns will emerge, showing you the unconscious spells you have been casting upon your own life. In awareness lies the power to break free from these inherited chains of thought, allowing new words of power to shape your reality. Chapter 5: The Alchemy of Intention and Expression. In the shadows of an ancient laboratory, Cornelius bent over his workbench, surrounded by vials of shimmering liquids and mysterious powders. Night after night, he attempted to transform base metals into gold, following his master's instructions to the letter. Yet his experiments yielded nothing but failure, until one fateful evening when he noticed something extraordinary. As he worked, muttering the traditional incantations, he realized that success came only in those rare moments when his heart's yearning perfectly matched his spoken words. When doubt lurked beneath his incantations, the metals remained unchanged. But when pure intention flowed through his voice, miraculous transformations occurred before his eyes. This truth extends beyond the realm of alchemy. Your words carry power only when they emerge from the depths of authentic feeling. When you speak of abundance while harboring fears of lack, your words scatter like seeds on barren soil. When you affirm success while clutching secretly to doubt, your intentions dissipate like smoke in the wind. True manifestation occurs in those sacred moments when your deepest desires align perfectly with your conscious expression. In a valley not far from where you now sit, Evangeline tended a garden that seemed touched by magic. Visitors would marvel at how her roses bloomed more vibrantly. Her vegetables grew more abundantly than any others in the region. They sought her secrets, expecting to learn of special fertilizers or ancient farming techniques. But Evangeline's magic lay in something far simpler, the loving intentions she spoke into each seed before planting. "You contain the power to nourish many," she would whisper, feeling the truth of these words in her heart. "Within you lies boundless abundance," she would say, her voice carrying the pure emotion of her belief. The plants responded not to her techniques, but to the perfect harmony between her spoken words and heartfelt intentions. Your life is Evangeline's garden. Every circumstance, Every relationship, every opportunity is a seed waiting to be awakened by the marriage of your authentic feeling and conscious expression. When you speak to your dreams with the same loving intention that resides in your heart, you become the alchemist transforming limitation into unlimited possibility. Sacred alchemy practice. Place your hand upon your heart and allow yourself to feel a genuine desire arise naturally from within. Let this feeling grow until it fills your entire being. Then, speaking aloud, give voice to this desire with the exact same emotional intensity you feel in your heart. Let your words carry the pure intention of your deepest truth, creating an unbreakable bridge between inner yearning and outer expression. Chapter 6: The Secret Sounds That Unlock Abundance. In the bustling markets of an ancient trading city, Archibald wandered with his stringed instrument, playing melodies passed down through generations. One evening, as he tuned his instrument in a quiet courtyard, an aged mystic approached him, sharing scrolls containing peculiar musical notations unlike any he had seen before. "These are not mere notes," the mystic explained, "but doorways to the infinite." The scrolls revealed ancient vowel sounds that, when intoned with pure intention, resonated with the very fabric of abundance itself. As Archibald practiced these sacred sounds in solitude, he noticed remarkable changes. Opportunities flowed to him effortlessly, and his music began to touch hearts in ways he never imagined possible. The ancient sounds had unlocked chambers of prosperity that had remained sealed by centuries of collective doubt and limitation. Within the quantum field of existence, specific frequencies align with different aspects of universal abundance. Just as a tuning fork resonates with its matching pitch, certain vocal tones harmonize with particular forms of prosperity. The sound AH vibrates in perfect harmony with material abundance. EE attunes to the frequency of wisdom, and OH resonates with the energy of love and connection. In a temple nestled among ancient hills, Cordelia discovered this truth through her daily devotions. Each morning, she would intone these sacred sounds, allowing them to fill the temple's chambers. At first, she noticed subtle shifts in her own life: increased vitality, deeper insights, unexpected gifts. But soon, visitors to the temple reported experiencing similar blessings. Merchants found their businesses flourishing after spending time in meditation there. Scholars gained breakthrough understanding of ancient texts. Love-seeking souls found their hearts opening to new connections. The secret lay not in the sounds alone, but in Cordelia's pure intention as she voiced them. Each tone carried on her breath created ripples in the field of infinite possibility, touching all who entered her sanctuary with waves of abundance. Your voice holds this same transformative power. Every sound you make sends vibrations into the quantum field, attracting circumstances that match its frequency. By consciously choosing specific tones and infusing them with clear intention, you can tune your reality to the exact wavelength of whatever form of abundance you seek. Abundance activating practice. Choose one area of your life where you wish to experience greater flow. If you seek material prosperity, intone AH. For wisdom and clarity, use EE. For love and connection, resonate with O. As you hum your chosen sound, envision golden light filling that aspect of your existence, knowing that your voice is creating new pathways for abundance to flow into your life. Chapter 7: The Witness Within. In the halls of justice, Percival sat upon his wooden throne, dispensing verdicts that shaped the lives of those who came before him. Yet one morning, as he prepared to enter his courtroom, he paused in his chambers, struck by an unexpected revelation. The most crucial judgments he rendered were not those proclaimed from his bench, but the silent ones he made each moment, about which voices in his own mind deserved the authority of his belief. Within the sanctum of his consciousness, competing testimonies constantly vied for his attention. Voices of doubt questioned his wisdom, while voices of confidence affirmed his understanding. Voices of fear warned of potential mistakes, while voices of courage urged him forward. As he sat in contemplation, Percival realized that above all these mental voices existed a higher awareness, a serene presence that could observe each thought without becoming entangled in its story. You possess this same inner witness, an eternal consciousness that stands beyond the ceaseless stream of mental chatter. This watchful presence holds the power to choose which thoughts receive the blessing of your attention and which ones naturally dissolve into silence. Like a wise sovereign, you can observe the parade of thoughts that cross your mind's threshold without automatically granting them the crown of your belief. In the quiet corners of an ancient library, Prudence discovered this truth among her beloved books. Each day, she methodically arranged volumes on shelves, deciding which texts deserved prominent display and which ones belonged in storage. One afternoon, while organizing a collection of wisdom teachings, she realized she could apply the same careful curation to the voices within her mind. Prudence began to sort her thoughts as she did her books. Words of wisdom and encouragement were given honored places in the forefront of her awareness, while tales of limitation were respectfully retired to distant shelves. Stories of past failures and future worries were neither destroyed nor denied, simply allowed to gather dust in the archives of her mind, visited less and less frequently as she chose to spend time with more uplifting volumes of thought. The witnessing practice. Find a peaceful space and settle into stillness. Imagine yourself as a benevolent observer watching your thoughts drift by like clouds in a vast sky. Notice how some thoughts appear dark and heavy, while others glow with light and possibility. Make no effort to grasp the pleasant thoughts or push away the challenging ones. Simply observe their passing, choosing which ones deserve the sunshine of your focused attention. Let this practice strengthen your inner witness, knowing that your power lies not in controlling which thoughts arise, but in choosing which ones receive the gift of your belief. Chapter 8. Rewriting the Stories That Bind You. In ancient times, Barnabas wandered from village to village, his tales bringing light to weary eyes and hope to heavy hearts. Around crackling fires, he wove stories of heroes and transformation that held his audiences spellbound. Yet one evening, as the embers died and his listeners drifted away to sleep, he remained awake, suddenly aware of a deeper narrative that had been playing within his own mind throughout his life. These internal stories about his worth, his possibilities, his place in the world, had shaped his path more powerfully than any tale he had ever shared. While he spoke of brave warriors and wise sages to others, he had been quietly telling himself stories of limitation and doubt, unknowingly scripting the boundaries of his own existence. Your mind, like Barnabas's, ceaselessly weaves narratives that become the foundation of your reality. Each thought you think, each assumption you hold, each belief you nurture becomes a thread in the grand tapestry of your life story. These silent scripts direct your choices, shape your relationships, and determine the heights to which you dare to climb. In a small village, Tabitha sat at her workbench, surrounded by patterns and fabric. For years she had believed herself capable only of minor alterations to others' garments. "I am just a simple seamstress," she would whisper as she worked, until one day her hands paused over a magnificent bolt of silk. In that moment, she realized that just as she could reshape fabric to create any design she envisioned, she could also reshape the story she told about herself. With each new garment she created, Tabitha began telling herself a new tale. I'm an artist who brings beauty into the world. As her internal narrative shifted, so too did her work, evolving from simple repairs to stunning creations that drew admirers from distant lands. Like Tabitha with her needle and thread, you hold the power to alter the very pattern of your existence. The stories you tell yourself about your capabilities, your worthiness, and your future are not fixed. They are threads that can be rewoven into new and more expansive designs. The story rewriting practice. Each morning, find a quiet moment and identify one limiting story you've been telling yourself. Perhaps it's "I'm not creative enough" or "success always eludes me." Spend 5 minutes consciously telling yourself a new version of this story, speaking it as if it were already your reality. I am naturally creative, and innovative solutions flow easily to me, or I attract success naturally, and opportunities seek me out. Feel the truth of these words in your body as you speak them, knowing that with each repetition, you weave this new narrative more firmly into the fabric of your being. Chapter 9. The Compass of Emotional Resonance. In a time when ships relied on stars and magnetism to find their way across vast oceans, Minerva served as navigator aboard the merchant vessel Aurora. While other sailors trusted their brass compasses, she noticed something peculiar about her own sense of direction. When plotting courses through treacherous waters, she discovered that her surest guidance came not from instruments, but from an inner knowing that manifested through her emotions. Whenever she considered a route that would lead the ship safely to harbor, a warm sense of certainty would expand in her chest. But when her calculations would have steered them toward hidden reefs or approaching storms, an unmistakable heaviness would settle in her stomach. Through countless voyages, this emotional compass proved more reliable than any physical tool. Your inner world operates with this same precise navigational system. Every thought you entertain creates a distinct emotional response, a subtle signal from your deepest wisdom about whether that thought aligns with your true path. When your mind wanders down paths of worry or self-doubt, your emotions contract, creating sensations of heaviness, unease, or resistance. These feelings are not random. They are sophisticated guidance letting you know you've strayed from your authentic course. Conversely, when your thoughts align with your highest truth, your entire being expands. You feel lighter, more energized, more at peace. These emotions are your soul's way of saying, yes, this way leads to your destiny. High in the snow-capped peaks, Reginald guided travelers through treacherous mountain passes. While others relied solely on maps and markers, he learned to read his internal atmosphere as carefully as he observed the gathering clouds and shifting winds. Before leading a group along any path, he would pause to sense his emotional response to the route ahead. A feeling of clarity and calm told him the path was true, while sensations of doubt or hesitation warned of unseen dangers. His fellow guides mocked this practice until the day his inner weather sense led him to reroute a party moments before an avalanche destroyed their intended path. Just as Reginald used his emotional wisdom to guide others to safety, you can learn to navigate by your inner climate. Your feelings are not obstacles to be overcome or ignored. They are sophisticated instruments calibrated to keep you aligned with your highest good. The emotional compass practice. 3 times each day, morning, noon, and evening, pause to check your inner weather. Notice what thoughts occupy your mind and how these thoughts make you feel in your body. If you sense contraction or discomfort, gently shift your mental focus until you find thoughts that bring sensations of expansion, peace, or joyful anticipation. Let these elevated emotions be your guide, knowing they always point toward your truest path. Chapter 10. The Great Awakening of Your Voice. From the ancient hills where shepherds have tended their flocks since time immemorial comes the tale of Ezekiel, who entered this world without the gift of speech. Though his tongue lay silent, his heart spoke volumes to the sheep in his care. Through pure intention and unwavering love, he guided his flock through treacherous valleys and over windswept peaks, his silent presence more powerful than any spoken command. One stormy night, as lightning split the sky and thunder shook the earth, a wolf pack descended upon his flock. In that moment of crisis, something extraordinary occurred. From the depths of Ezekiel's being came forth his first words, charged with such pure creative force that they transformed reality itself. As the sacred syllables left his lips, his entire flock transformed into a vast field of golden wheat, swaying gently in the storm winds, safe from all harm. This moment mirrors the great awakening that now unfolds within you. Like Ezekiel, you have possessed this creative power all along, though you may not have recognized its presence. Every word you have ever spoken to yourself, every quiet assertion, every whispered doubt, every silent declaration, has been a seed planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness. The universe, in its infinite wisdom and perfect responsiveness, has been faithfully manifesting these seeds into the garden of your life experience. Consider Constance, who lived believing herself powerless against life's currents. Year after year, she drifted wherever circumstances seemed to carry her, unaware that she held the rudder of creation in her own voice. Then came the day when, in a moment of unguarded authenticity, she spoke aloud a heart's desire. "I would love to teach children about the stars." Within hours, she received a call from the local planetarium seeking a guide for their youth programs. In that instant, the veil lifted, and she understood that her voice had always been a wand of creation, waiting to be consciously wielded. Your own awakening stands before you now, clear and undeniable. Every circumstance in your life, every joy and every challenge, has grown from the seeds of your own words. You are not a leaf blown by the winds of chance, you are the wind itself, directing the course of your existence through the power of your voice. Stand now before your mirror. Look deeply into your own eyes, beyond the surface reflection, to the infinite Creator that dwells within. Speak these words with the full force of your awakened understanding. I now recognize that my voice creates my reality, and I choose to speak only words that build the life I truly desire. Part 2, Mastering the Sacred Art of Self-Command. Chapter 11. The Council of Inner Voices. In the kingdom of old, Augustus ruled with wisdom that seemed to flow from a divine source. Yet his greatest revelation came not from his ornate council chamber, but from a moment of solitude when he recognized that an entire parliament of voices resided within his own mind. Each morning, as he sat upon his throne, he noticed how different aspects of his consciousness stepped forward like advisors, each offering counsel on matters of state. When decisions loomed, the voice of caution whispered of potential dangers, while the voice of ambition urged bold action. The voice of tradition recited ancient laws, and somewhere deeper, a quiet yet powerful voice spoke of higher truths that transcended all others. Augustus came to understand that his true kingdom lay not in his lands, but in his ability to discern which of these inner voices deserved his royal attention. You too possess this inner council chamber where various aspects of your consciousness gather to influence your choices. The voice of wisdom speaks with gentle certainty, carrying notes of peace and expansion that resonate with your highest truth. The voice of fear presents itself as protection, yet its counsel always leads toward limitation and contraction. The voice of past conditioning speaks in familiar tones, repeating beliefs inherited from family, society, and experience. And beneath them all waits the voice of your authentic self, knowing your true path with unwavering clarity. In the grand theater of life, Millicent directed countless plays to critical acclaim. Yet her greatest insight arose when she recognized that the most important production she would ever direct played out on the stage of her own mind. Each thought was an actor auditioning for her attention, and she held the power to cast her internal production with care, choosing which voices would take center stage and which would remain in the wings. As she learned to direct her inner theater, Millicent discovered that thoughts, like actors, carried distinct energetic signatures. Those aligned with truth brought a sense of lightness and possibility to her being, while thoughts born of fear created heaviness and constriction. With this understanding, she began casting her mental productions with increasing wisdom, giving prominent roles only to those thoughts that elevated her life story. Your own inner counsel awaits your conscious leadership. Each morning, find a quiet moment and bring forth a specific question about your day. Notice how different voices arise to offer their counsel. Some may speak of limitation or past failures, while others whisper of infinite possibility. Feel how each voice affects your body and spirit. Those aligned with your highest good will bring sensations of peace and authentic excitement, while voices of fear create tension and anxiety. Choose to follow only the guidance that expands your sense of possibility and fills you with quiet certainty. Chapter 12. Speaking Your World into Existence. In the bustling marketplace of an ancient city, merchant Cornelius watched his once thriving business dwindle to nothing. Each morning, he would stand before his empty stalls, his heart heavy with worry, until one dawn changed everything. As the sun's first rays touched the marketplace, Cornelius felt moved to speak aloud. My shelves overflow with the finest goods, and grateful customers fill my shop from sunrise to sunset. He spoke these words not as hopes or wishes, but as unwavering truths, and within days, his declaration began reshaping reality itself. The universe responds to the magnetic force of absolute conviction. When you speak your intentions with the same certainty that you declare the sun will rise tomorrow, you activate forces beyond ordinary understanding. Your words carry vibrational frequencies that interact with the quantum field of infinite possibility, collapsing waves of potential into particles of experience. The key lies not in the volume of your voice, but in the resonance between your words and your emotional state. When you declare an intention while feeling the joy and gratitude of its fulfillment, you create a harmonic convergence that the universe must answer. Timing also plays a crucial role. Speaking your declarations during the first hour after waking, when the barrier between conscious and subconscious mind is thinnest, amplifies their power exponentially. In the fertile valleys beyond the city walls, Georgiana discovered this truth through her connection to the land. Each morning, she would walk among her father's fields, speaking to the dormant seeds beneath the soil. You are strong and vital, bursting with life, reaching toward the sun. She noticed that rows where she spoke with greatest conviction yielded the most abundant harvests. The crops responded not to her words alone, but to the unwavering certainty that infused them. Georgiana realized that just as seeds contain the blueprint of full-grown plants, her spoken words contained the blueprint of manifestation. She learned to speak to every seed as if it were already a flourishing plant, understanding that nature simply followed the expectations she declared. Your sacred declaration practice. Select one specific desire and write it clearly on paper. Each morning, During the first hour after waking, stand in a quiet place. Hold your written intention in your hands and speak it aloud in present tense as if it already exists. I am now experiencing. I am now receiving. I am now becoming. Feel genuine gratitude as you speak, knowing that your words are already rearranging the fabric of reality. Maintain this practice for 5 minutes each day, speaking with the same certainty a farmer holds when planting seeds in fertile soil. Chapter 13. When to speak your dreams and when silence works faster. In his dimly lit workshop, clockmaker Thaddeus labored over his most ambitious creation, a timepiece that would track not just hours and minutes, but the cycles of sun and moon, the turning of seasons, and the movement of stars. Despite his masterful skill, each attempt failed until one night, exhausted and frustrated, he simply stopped. In that moment of perfect stillness, he heard the subtle rhythm underlying all of creation, a sacred pulse alternating between movement and rest. The art of manifestation follows this same divine timing. Just as every breath contains both inhalation and exhalation, the process of creating your desires requires both active declaration and receptive silence. There are moments when your words must ring out with power and conviction, programming the quantum field with your intentions. Yet equally vital are the periods of sacred stillness, when you simply hold your desire in quiet knowing, allowing universal forces to arrange circumstances beyond your view. Learn to recognize the signals that guide this sacred timing. When you feel energized, expanded, and filled with inspiration, your desires call for active voice. Speak them boldly into existence. But when you sense resistance or strain, when pushing creates tension rather than progress, your dreams require the nurturing silence of trust and allowing. In a small village nestled among rolling hills, Patience attended countless births over many years. Early in her practice, she believed that constant encouragement and direction were needed to bring new life into the world. But as her wisdom deepened, she observed that birth had its own natural rhythm, moments that called for active guidance, alternating with periods of quiet watchfulness. One night, attending a difficult labor, Patience finally understood. Instead of continuously urging the mother to push, she began attuning to the natural cycles of the birth process. She learned to recognize when active support was needed and when to step back, allowing nature's wisdom to guide the way. Under this balanced approach, even the most challenging births unfolded with surprising ease. Your sacred timing practice: select one heartfelt desire and dedicate the next 6 days to exploring its natural rhythm. For the first 3 days, speak your intention aloud with passionate conviction each morning. For the following 3 days, hold your desire in silent knowing, trusting that unseen forces are orchestrating its fulfillment. Notice which approach brings greater ease and forward momentum. Pay attention to how your desire responds to both active declaration and quiet allowing. This practice will attune you to the sacred timing of manifestation, teaching you when to speak and when to trust in silence. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Pattern-Breaking Protocol. In her sunlit workshop, seamstress Ophelia stood before yards of pristine silk, scissors poised. For years, she had followed the traditional patterns passed down through generations of craftswomen. Her work was admired, yet something within her yearned for more. One morning, as she prepared to cut along the familiar lines, her hand wavered. Instead of tracing the old pattern, she allowed her scissors to carve a new path through the fabric. The resulting garment possessed a beauty that took her breath away, not because it was perfect, but because it had never existed before. Your mind operates like Ophelia's workshop, filled with patterns of thought that have been passed down and repeated until they seem like unchangeable truth. These limiting beliefs form the invisible architecture of your reality, silently determining what you believe is possible. Yet just as Ophelia discovered, true transformation begins the moment you dare to cut new patterns. To identify these hidden patterns, trace each limiting belief to its source. When did you first accept this thought as truth? What circumstances shaped this belief? Most importantly, what purpose has this belief served? Every limiting pattern began as a form of protection, but like a child's winter coat, you may have outgrown its purpose while still carrying its weight. The art of transformation lies not in gentle adjustments but in conscious reconstruction. This truth came alive through blacksmith Jeremiah's revelation at his forge. For years he attempted to strengthen metal through careful heating alone, achieving only modest results. Then one day, watching a sword being broken and reforged, he understood. The strongest steel emerges not from preservation, but from deliberate breaking and remaking. Your limiting beliefs must undergo this same process of breaking and reforging. When you say, "I'm not good enough," "success is always a struggle," or "I don't deserve abundance," you're operating from old metal that needs to be broken down and reshaped. Like Jeremiah's forge, your voice becomes the instrument of transformation, capable of breaking old patterns and forging new ones through conscious declaration. Your pattern-breaking practice. Each morning, identify one limiting belief that has shaped your reality. Speak these words with clear intention. "Up until now, I believed," followed by the old pattern. Then immediately declare, "But now I choose to believe," followed by your new, empowering truth. Repeat this sequence daily until the new pattern becomes your automatic response. This verbal alchemy transforms the very substance of your thoughts, forging new pathways of possibility in your consciousness. Chapter 15. The Language of Gratitude and Grace. In the bustling markets of ancient times, Benedictus traveled from city to city, his cart laden with silks and spices. While other merchants haggled fiercely over every coin, he developed an unusual practice. Each morning before opening his stall, he would quietly express his heartfelt appreciation for every item in his inventory. "I thank you for these fine silks," he would whisper, running his hands over the fabrics. "I am grateful for these aromatic spices that bring such joy to those who purchase them." To his amazement, this simple practice began attracting unprecedented prosperity. The more sincerely he appreciated what he had, the more abundance flowed into his life. Customers seemed drawn to his stall as if by an invisible force, often paying more than his asking price and returning with friends. When you speak words of genuine appreciation, you activate forces beyond ordinary understanding. Each expression of gratitude sends ripples through the quantum field of infinite possibility, creating a magnetic resonance that attracts more of what you appreciate. This is not mere wishful thinking. It is a precise spiritual technology that operates according to universal law. Different forms of appreciation activate different streams of blessing. When you express thanks for material abundance, you align with the frequency of prosperity. When you voice gratitude for health, you attune to the vibration of vitality. When you speak appreciation for relationships, you harmonize with the energy of love. In the great temple of the Eastern Mountains, Serafina discovered this truth through her daily devotions. While other attendants offered prayers of supplication, she began experimenting with a different approach. Instead of asking for what she desired, she gave thanks as if it had already been received. "I am grateful for the abundant harvest," she would declare, even when the fields lay bare. "I thank you for the healing of the sick," she would say, before any change was visible. To her wonder, these prayers of preemptive appreciation manifested with stunning speed. The harvest exceeded all expectations. The sick recovered more rapidly than ever before. Through this practice, she learned that gratitude spoken in advance creates a bridge across which desired experiences can travel into physical reality. Your gratitude magnetism practice involves choosing 3 desires and spending 5 minutes each evening speaking genuine thanks for them as if they have already manifested, feeling the emotion of fulfilled appreciation in your heart as you speak. Chapter 16, Programming Your Subconscious Servant. In the kingdom of old, King Aldrich ruled with wisdom and grace, relying heavily on his most trusted advisor, Bartholomew. What set Bartholomew apart was not his counsel, but rather his unwavering execution of every royal command. When the king decreed, Bartholomew acted without question, without hesitation, without doubt. Through storms and sunshine, through peace and strife, his loyalty never wavered. He simply accepted each instruction as absolute law and worked tirelessly to manifest the king's will. Your subconscious mind serves you with this same unquestioning devotion. Like Bartholomew, it accepts your habitual thoughts and self-talk as direct commands from its sovereign ruler. Every word you speak to yourself becomes a decree that this faithful servant works day and night to bring into manifestation. The key lies in understanding how to communicate with this powerful ally. Your subconscious responds not to casual wishes or intellectual concepts, but to emotionally charged instructions repeated with consistency. When you combine clear commands with genuine feeling and steadfast repetition, you speak in a language your subconscious mind cannot resist. Along the storm-battered coastline, Constance tended her lighthouse with methodical precision. Each evening, she would program the automated beacon with exact instructions: when to illuminate, how to rotate, what intensity to maintain. Through the darkest nights and fiercest tempests, the lighthouse continued its faithful service, guiding ships to safety, even when she slept. Over time, she realized that her own mind could be programmed with the same reliability. Just as her lighthouse responded to consistent programming, Constance discovered that her subconscious mind faithfully executed whatever instructions she planted within it. Each night before retiring, she would give herself clear directives about her goals and desires. As she relaxed into sleep, these commands would sink deep into her mental machinery, creating automatic patterns that operated independently of her conscious effort. The subconscious programming practice involves standing before a mirror each night before sleep, looking into your own eyes, and repeating one empowering statement 10 times with genuine emotion, knowing that your relaxed state allows the instruction to bypass conscious resistance and install directly into your mental operating system. Chapter 17, The Power of Present Moment Declaration. In the bustling markets of an ancient city, merchant Maximilian traded in silks and spices from distant lands, while other merchants spoke endlessly of what their future shipments might bring. Maximilian discovered a peculiar power in his words. When he discussed his ventures, he never said, "I will have," or "soon I shall obtain." Instead, he spoke as if his desired outcomes already existed. "My warehouse holds the finest silks from the East," or "the spices in my inventory delight the most discerning buyers." To his amazement, reality began shaping itself around his present tense declarations. The universe, it seemed, did not distinguish between what was and what could be. It simply responded to the unwavering certainty in his voice. This revelation unveils a fundamental truth about the nature of time and manifestation. The universe operates not in linear progression, but in an eternal now. When you speak of your desires as future possibilities, you unconsciously push them away into a perpetual someday. But when you declare them as present facts, you create a vibrational frequency that collapses the illusion of time, drawing your desires into immediate experience. The quantum field responds not to what might be, but to what is being declared with conviction in this moment. Every time you say "I will" or "I hope to," you create a frequency of lack, an energetic statement that what you desire exists somewhere other than here and now. But when you shift to present tense declarations, "I am" and "I have," you generate a vibrational match that the universe must reflect back to you. In a quiet corner of the world, Evangeline tended her gardens with this same wisdom. She observed that her flowers never responded to promises of future nourishment. They bloomed not when she said, "I will water you tomorrow," but when she actually poured water onto their roots in the present moment. Through her plants, she learned that the universe operates only in the now, responding not to intentions about the future, but to present moment reality. Just as her gardens flourished through immediate nourishment rather than future promises, Evangeline discovered that her life responded to the same principle. When she spoke of abundance, joy, and success as current experiences rather than distant dreams, these qualities began manifesting with surprising speed in her daily life. Your present moment practice involves rewriting 3 of your major desires, using only present tense language, then speaking them aloud each morning as if describing your current reality rather than future goals. Chapter 18. Healing Yesterday's Wounded Words. In a time when medicine focused solely on physical symptoms, physician Cornelius made an extraordinary discovery. While treating a woman suffering from chronic pain, he noticed her condition improved dramatically, not through his remedies, but when she finally forgave herself for harsh words spoken during a moment of despair years before. This revelation led him to understand that the most potent healing occurred when patients addressed not just their bodily ailments, but the invisible wounds created by their own self-directed words. Your words from the past continue to echo through the chambers of your present experience. Each criticism you directed at yourself, each doubt you verbalized, each fear you repeatedly expressed has left an energetic imprint that shapes your current reality. These old patterns of harmful self-talk operate like hidden commands in your consciousness, directing your experiences until you consciously transform them through the sacred art of verbal healing. Just as a physical wound requires specific treatment to heal properly, the wounds created by past self-talk need precise verbal antidotes. First, you must acknowledge the exact words that created the original harm. Then, through conscious forgiveness practices, you neutralize their emotional charge. Finally, you install new empowering statements that transform the old energy into fuel for growth and wisdom. In a small village, seamstress Tabitha discovered this same principle through her craft. While others discarded torn or stained fabric, she learned to incorporate these damaged pieces into her quilts, creating patterns of extraordinary beauty. Each imperfection, when properly transformed, added depth and character to her creations. Through her needle and thread, she realized that nothing from the past needed to be rejected, only transformed. Like Tabitha's quilting, your own healing journey involves gathering the torn pieces of your past self-talk and weaving them into a new pattern of understanding. Each harsh word you spoke to yourself becomes an opportunity for deeper compassion. Each doubt transforms into a stepping stone of wisdom. Each fear-based thought provides the contrast needed to recognize your true strength. The healing practice involves identifying one harsh thing you repeatedly said to yourself in the past, then speaking forgiveness to your younger self for not knowing better, followed by consciously choosing 3 loving statements to replace that old pattern whenever it attempts to resurface. Chapter 19: The Sacred No That Creates Space for Yes. In a village nestled among ancient hills, wise woman Cordelia discovered a truth that would transform not only her life, but the lives of all who sought her counsel. Though known for her healing abilities, she noticed her powers diminishing as she attempted to help everyone who knocked at her door. It wasn't until she began declining certain requests, those that drained her vital energy, that her true gifts flourished. By saying no to what depleted her, she created sacred space for her most powerful work to emerge, ultimately serving her community far more profoundly than when she tried to be everything to everyone. Your own power flows most purely when you learn to protect its source. Each time you say yes to what diminishes your spirit, whether scrolling through endless feeds of digital negativity, maintaining relationships that deplete your energy, or taking on commitments that distract from your true purpose, you reduce your capacity to manifest what truly matters in your life. The universe responds not just to what you actively choose, but to what you consciously refuse. The art of conscious refusal requires discernment and courage. You must learn to recognize when apparent opportunities are actually limitations in disguise, when social obligations mask energy drains, and when others' fears and doubts attempt to colonize your mental space. By setting clear boundaries around your attention and energy, you create a protected field where your manifestation power can grow undisturbed. In distant hills, shepherd Ezekiel learned this same wisdom through tending his flock. Initially, he believed his role was simply to guide his sheep toward nourishment. But as seasons passed, he realized that protecting them from harmful paths was equally important as leading them to green pastures. Some days, his greatest act of care was steering them away from deceptively attractive but dangerous terrain. Like Ezekiel's sheep, your consciousness requires protection from paths that appear inviting but lead away from your highest good. In our hyper-connected age, your mental space faces constant invasion from others' limiting beliefs, fear-based narratives, and energy-draining distractions. True power lies not just in choosing what to embrace, but in consciously refusing what diminishes your spiritual voltage. Your boundary practice involves identifying 3 sources of negativity that regularly enter your mental space, whether people, media, or internal habits, and consciously saying no to one of them each day while speaking a clear intention about what positive influence you're choosing instead. Chapter 20: Building Bridges Between Dream and Reality. In the bustling city of Alexandria, architect Percival stood before his drafting table, surrounded by intricate designs and ambitious plans. Yet his greatest revelation came not from the physical tools of his trade, but from understanding that true creation begins with words of crystal clarity. Each masterpiece he conceived first took shape through precise verbal descriptions that transformed his ethereal visions into blueprints his workers could grasp and execute. The power to manifest your deepest desires operates through this same principle. When you learn to translate the mystical whispers of inspiration into clear, actionable language, you create a bridge between the invisible realm of possibility and the tangible world of form. Your logical mind requires specific instructions, much like Percival's workers needed detailed plans to transform vision into reality. This translation from ethereal to concrete begins with learning the language of practical spirituality. Rather than keeping your dreams in the realm of vague hopes, you must craft them into precise verbal blueprints that specify exactly what you will see, hear, and experience when they manifest. This process involves breaking down grand visions into measurable milestones and daily actions that create inevitable progress toward your desired outcome. Along the shores of a great river, bridge builder Barnabas faced what seemed an impossible task, connecting two distant shores that had never before been joined. Rather than attempting one impossible leap, he learned to express his vision through specific, achievable steps. Each morning he would speak aloud exactly what stones would be laid that day, what progress would be measured, and what evidence would show that the impossible was becoming inevitable. Like Barnabas, you possess the power to bridge any gap between your current reality and your heart's deepest desires. The key lies in translating abstract dreams into concrete commitments expressed through clear, actionable language. When you speak your intentions with the precision of an architect and the practicality of a bridge builder, the universe receives exact instructions it can manifest through the law of attraction. The bridge building practice involves choosing your most important dream, then spending 20 minutes writing it as a detailed verbal blueprint that includes specific daily actions, measurable milestones, and concrete evidence you'll recognize when it's manifesting. Then reading this blueprint aloud each morning as your daily construction plan. Part 3, Becoming the Sovereign of Your Spoken Universe. Chapter 21, The Throne of Self-Mastery. In the golden age of enlightened rule, Emperor Augustus commanded vast territories that stretched beyond the horizon. Yet one morning, as he sat upon his throne contemplating the day's decisions, he experienced a profound awakening. The greatest challenge of sovereignty, he realized, lay not in governing distant lands, but in mastering the wild and varied territories of his own consciousness. Every thought that arose within his mind either reinforced or undermined his true authority. Each word he spoke to himself either strengthened or weakened his reign over his own destiny. This revelation transformed his understanding of power. True sovereignty began not with external command, but with internal mastery. Your own consciousness operates as both sovereign and kingdom. Within you exists a vast realm where thoughts arise like citizens seeking audience, where emotions flow like rivers through the landscape of your mind, and where words possess the power to shape reality itself. To claim your rightful place as ruler of this inner domain requires specific practices of conscious sovereignty. Begin by establishing your throne room, that quiet center of awareness from which you observe and command your mental kingdom. From this seat of power, you learn to issue clear directives to your thoughts, guide your emotional energies with wisdom, and speak words that align with your highest vision for your life. In the northern reaches of ancient lands, Queen Beatrice ruled with grace and wisdom. Yet her greatest lesson came when she discovered that her authority was measured not by the number of subjects who bowed before her, but by how perfectly her own thoughts and words aligned with her deepest truth. She learned that true power flowed not from forcing her will upon others, but from achieving such harmony between her inner wisdom and outer expression that her very presence became a force of transformation. Like Queen Beatrice, your journey to sovereignty involves aligning every aspect of your consciousness with your highest wisdom. This is not about rigid control or harsh discipline, but about achieving such natural harmony between your authentic power and your daily choices that ruling your inner kingdom becomes effortless. Your sovereignty practice involves creating a daily morning ritual where you consciously claim dominion over your inner kingdom by stating, I am the sovereign ruler of my thoughts, words, and destiny, and today I choose to govern from my highest wisdom. Then making 3 specific decisions from this place of inner authority. Chapter 22. When your word becomes law. In a remote monastery nestled among mist-shrouded peaks, sage Cornelius lived a life of such perfect alignment that his every word seemed to carry the weight of natural law. Those who sought his wisdom often expected to find an imposing figure wielding mysterious powers. Instead, they discovered a simple man whose true mastery lay in the absolute congruence between his inner knowing and outer expression. When Cornelius spoke, he did so not from hope or wishful thinking, but from a place of such complete certainty that his words became living bridges between potential and manifestation. It was said that when he declared rain would nourish the parched fields, clouds would gather within hours. When he spoke of healing, the sick found themselves restored to health. Yet his power lay not in any supernatural ability, but in his unshakable alignment with the creative force that flows through all things. Through his example, you discover that manifestation occurs not through the repetition of empty phrases, but through the perfect marriage of intention, emotion, and unwavering conviction. Each word you speak carries a specific vibrational signature. When you achieve complete alignment between your deepest knowing and your expressed intention, your voice becomes a channel for the same creative force that births stars and shapes worlds. In a distant temple, prophetess Seraphina spent years believing her gift was the ability to see what lay ahead in time. Yet one profound morning, she awakened to understand that her predictions came true, not because she glimpsed the future, but because her words, spoken with absolute certainty, actually commanded future events into being. Her prophecies were not forecasts, but decrees, each one backed by such complete inner knowing that the universe had no choice but to rearrange itself to match her declarations. This same power dwells within you. When you speak from hope, your words scatter like seeds on barren ground. But when you speak from the unshakable knowing that already exists in the depths of your being, your voice becomes an instrument of creation. This is not about forcing or straining, but about aligning so completely with your inner truth that your words naturally carry the authority of universal law. The sovereign speech practice begins with a sacred ritual of inner preparation. Choose one desire that burns brightest in your heart. One truth you wish to manifest in the physical world. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed and spend 10 deliberate minutes in deep meditation, allowing yourself to sink into the profound state of knowing that transcends mere belief. In this space of pure consciousness, feel the reality of your desire as though it already exists, not as a future possibility, but as a present truth woven into the very fabric of your being. When you feel this knowing resonating in every cell of your body, when doubt has dissolved completely and certainty flows through you like a mighty river, only then should you give voice to your declaration. Speak it once, a single powerful proclamation uttered with the unwavering authority of one who commands the cosmic forces. Let your voice carry the weight of absolute conviction, knowing that this one perfectly aligned declaration, spoken from the depths of your sovereign power, contains more creative force than countless affirmations spoken from a place of yearning or hope. This is not a practice of repetition or persuasion, but rather a pure expression of the divine authority that already exists within you. Trust that the universe recognizes and responds to this level of energetic alignment, setting in motion the forces that will manifest your spoken truth in the physical realm. Chapter 23. the one voice that makes reality surrender. In the depths of a sacred cave, mystic Thaddeus faced his darkest hour. For years he had studied ancient texts and practiced countless rituals, yet in this moment of crisis, all his accumulated knowledge fell silent. As he sat in desperate meditation, the voices of doubt, fear, and learned wisdom all clamored for his attention. Yet beneath them all, he discovered a presence, a voice of such pure knowing that when he finally let it speak through him, the very walls of the cave trembled with recognition. This voice spoke not in complex philosophies, but in simple truths that carried the weight of mountains. When Thaddeus aligned with this deepest knowing and gave it voice, miraculous transformations occurred not through effort or will, but through the natural response of reality to absolute truth being spoken. Within you exists this same voice of pure knowing. It speaks not from the mind's gathered knowledge, but from the depths of universal wisdom that has always been your birthright. When you learn to distinguish this voice from the endless mental chatter that fills your daily awareness, you gain access to a power that needs no validation or proof. In the high mountains, Oracle Prudence spent decades mastering complex systems of divination. She studied the patterns of birds, the whispers of wind, and the ancient symbols passed down through generations. Yet one day, as she sat in frustration over conflicting omens, she discovered that her truest prophecies came not from external signs, but from a place of knowing within her that required no proof or explanation. This revelation transformed her practice entirely. She learned that when she spoke from this inner wellspring of certainty, her words carried a power that no amount of studied wisdom could match. Her prophecies became not predictions, but declarations that reality itself rushed to fulfill. Like Prudence, you carry within you an oracle of absolute truth. This voice does not speak in maybes or possibilities, but in certainties that transcend logic and doubt. When you learn to access and trust this voice, your words naturally align with the creative force that shapes reality itself. Your truth voice practice begins with finding a sacred space of absolute stillness, where the clamor of the world falls away like autumn leaves. There, in that profound silence, you must sink beneath the rushing river of thoughts until you touch the bedrock of pure awareness, that ancient knowing presence that has witnessed all your days. When you have settled into this depth of being, gently pose your question to this timeless wisdom. What truth must I know now? Then, like a channel for divine waters, allow whatever emerges to flow through you, speaking each word aloud with the unwavering conviction of one who knows they are giving voice to the eternal. Trust completely in the authority of this wisdom, for it springs from the same source that guides the stars in their courses and the seasons in their eternal dance. Chapter 24. Dancing with the Unknown. In the untamed wilderness where no human footsteps had yet fallen, explorer Maximilian discovered a truth that would forever change how he viewed the impossible. While others relied on detailed maps and well-worn paths, he learned to walk forward with only the power of his spoken certainty lighting the way. When faced with impassable chasms, he would speak bridges into existence. Where others saw only dense forest, his words would part the branches to reveal hidden passages. Your journey through life requires this same mastery of speaking into uncertainty. Just as Maximilian created paths through uncharted territories, you possess the power to speak your way through situations where no clear solution exists. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the ancient art of using your voice to collapse infinite possibilities into concrete reality. When you speak with unwavering certainty into situations that seem impossible, you activate forces beyond ordinary perception. Your voice becomes a beacon that draws forth possibilities previously hidden from view. This requires not the arrogance of assuming you know everything, but the deeper certainty that solutions will reveal themselves as you move forward in faith. In the darkest waters off treacherous coastlines, navigator Evangeline earned her reputation not for avoiding storms, but for speaking directly into their heart. While other ships sought safe harbor, she would stand at the helm and speak words of such pure conviction that the very waters would calm beneath her vessel. "Peace, be still," she would command, and though the tempest raged around them, her ship would travel through corridors of inexplicable calm. Through years of guiding vessels through impossible weather, Evangeline discovered that her voice could create islands of serenity within chaos itself. She learned that speaking with certainty was more powerful than any anchor or compass. When crew members panicked at approaching storms, her calm declarations of safe passage would steady their hearts and guide them through. Your life will present storms that seem impossible to navigate. In these moments, remember that your voice can create pockets of peace and possibility within apparent chaos. By speaking with the same certainty that Evangeline used to calm troubled waters, you can establish stable ground even in life's most turbulent passages. The pathfinding practice begins with a moment of sacred introspection, where you identify one area of your life that feels shrouded in uncertainty or confusion. Perhaps a relationship that needs healing, a career decision that weighs heavily on your heart, or a spiritual question that seeks an answer. Each morning, as the first rays of dawn break through the darkness, spend 5 sacred minutes speaking your truth with unwavering conviction. Voice your desired outcome with the same certainty that navigator Evangeline used to part the stormy seas, knowing that your words are more than mere sounds. They are divine instruments carving channels of clarity through the fog of doubt. Speak as though the path ahead is already illuminated, for in this profound act of faith, you are not merely describing a future reality, you are actively participating in its creation, allowing your voice to become the very bridge that connects your present uncertainty to your destined resolution. Chapter 25, The Compound Effect of Daily Self-Dialogue. In the counting house of a prosperous bank, Cornelius sat reviewing his ledgers each evening, meticulously tracking the growth of his clients' wealth. Yet his greatest discovery came not from studying financial accounts, but from observing how his own thoughts, carefully deposited each day, grew with compound interest in the cosmic vault of creation. Each morning, Cornelius would speak words of prosperity and abundance to himself, noting how these daily deposits of positive self-talk accumulated over time. What began as small shifts in his reality gradually expanded until his mere whispered intentions manifested with the same certainty as his most substantial financial investments. Just as money grows through the power of compound interest, your conscious self-talk creates exponential returns in the universal economy of manifestation. Each positive thought you consistently deposit builds upon those that came before, generating an ever-increasing return of aligned circumstances and opportunities. In our modern age of endless notifications and digital demands, maintaining this focused practice requires new skills of mental sovereignty. Your attention, the currency of consciousness, must be protected and invested wisely. This means creating sacred spaces in your day for intentional self-dialogue, free from the scattered energy of social media and information overload. In the fertile valleys beyond the city, Farmer Jeremiah learned this same principle through the patient tending of his fields. At first, he tried dramatic interventions, excessive watering, sudden bursts of fertilizer, sporadic, intense labor. But his crops withered under such inconsistent care. Only when Jeremiah established a rhythm of steady daily attention did his gardens begin to thrive. Each morning, he would walk his fields, speaking gentle words of encouragement to his growing plants. These small, consistent actions, rather than occasional heroic efforts, created the conditions for abundant harvest. Your mental garden operates by these same natural laws. Sporadic bursts of positive thinking cannot replace the power of steady daily cultivation. Each morning's conscious self-dialogue plants seeds that, tended consistently, grow into forests of manifestation. The compound growth practice involves committing to speaking 3 specific empowering statements to yourself every morning for 30 days, tracking how your external reality shifts as this positive self-dialogue becomes an automatic mental habit that operates throughout your day. Chapter 26. Speaking Life into Your Boldest Dreams. In the heart of an ancient city, visionary Percival stood before merchants and craftsmen, speaking of a grand cathedral that existed only in his mind. As he described each archway, each stained glass window, each intricate detail, his listeners began to see it too, their eyes widening as his words painted pictures in their minds so vivid they could almost touch the smooth marble columns and hear their footsteps echo through the vaulted halls. Through the power of his precisely chosen words, Percival transformed abstract visions into blueprints that others could grasp and build upon. He discovered that imagination, when given voice with exquisite detail, creates a magnetic field that draws the necessary resources, skills, and circumstances together like iron filings to a lodestone. When you speak your visions with this level of clarity and conviction, you activate forces beyond ordinary comprehension. Each detailed description becomes a thread in the universal loom, weaving your desires into the fabric of physical reality. The key lies not in mere positive thinking, but in creating such vivid verbal blueprints that your conscious and subconscious mind cannot distinguish between vision and reality. By the light of evening fires, storyteller Cordelia enchanted her listeners with tales of courage, love, and triumph. Yet she noticed something extraordinary. The characters and events she described began manifesting in the lives of those who heard her stories. A tale of unexpected fortune would precede a listener's windfall. A story of healing would be followed by recovery from illness. Cordelia came to understand that her words carried seeds of creation, planting themselves in the fertile soil of her listeners' consciousness. When she spoke with emotional authenticity and sensory richness, these seeds would inevitably sprout into physical experience. This same creative power flows through your voice when you speak of your dreams with the passion and detail of a master storyteller. By infusing your words with vivid imagery and genuine feeling, you plant your visions in the quantum field where all possibility exists and from which physical reality emerges. The dream nurturing practice calls for a sacred evening ritual, one that ancient wisdom keepers have long known to be most potent in the quiet hours when day surrenders to night. For 15 precious minutes, allow your voice to paint the canvas of possibility, speaking your boldest dream into the ethers as though sharing an intimate tale with a trusted confidant. Let your words dance with the richness of detail, the warmth of sunshine on your skin in that perfect moment, the subtle fragrance of success that surrounds you, the melody of triumph that plays in your heart. Weave your story with such exquisite precision and emotional resonance that the very air around you vibrates with the certainty of your vision's manifestation. As you speak, feel every nuance of joy, every whisper of accomplishment, every texture of this new reality, until the boundary between what is and what will be dissolves completely in the alchemical power of your voice. Chapter 27. The Magnetic Field of Authentic Expression. In the bustling marketplace of an ancient trading post, merchant Barnabas noticed something peculiar. His sales flourished not when he employed clever tactics or rehearsed pitches, but in moments when he spoke from his heart about the items he truly believed in. Each time he shared genuine stories about the artisans who crafted his wares or expressed sincere appreciation for the quality of his goods, customers seemed drawn to his stall by an invisible force. When you align your words with your deepest truth, you activate a magnetic power that transcends ordinary communication. This force operates beyond the realm of persuasion or strategy. It emerges naturally when your external expression perfectly matches your internal reality. Like a tuning fork that resonates at its pure frequency, authentic speech creates vibrations that others can feel and trust instinctively. The universe responds to this alignment with remarkable precision. When you speak from genuine knowing rather than strategic calculation, you create a field of trust around you that naturally attracts those who resonate with your truth. This magnetic presence cannot be fabricated or forced. It flows only from the perfect harmony between your inner wisdom and outer expression. In a grand concert hall, musician Josephine struggled to understand why some performances moved audiences to tears while others, though technically flawless, left them unmoved. One evening, when her sheet music blew away mid-performance, she found herself singing purely from her heart. The audience leaned forward in their seats, captivated not by perfect notes, but by the raw truth in her voice. Through this unexpected moment, Josephine discovered that true connection flows not from polished performance, but from daring to share one's authentic voice. When she allowed herself to be vulnerable, to sing from her soul rather than her training, she created a magnetic field that drew listeners into profound emotional resonance. Your authentic voice carries this same magnetic power. When you dare to speak your truth without filtering or performing, you create an energetic signature that naturally attracts aligned opportunities and kindred spirits. This magnetic authenticity operates like a cosmic sorting system, effortlessly drawing to you the exact experiences, relationships, and circumstances that match your genuine frequency. The authenticity magnetism practice begins with a gentle but profound inner examination. Take time to sit quietly and reflect on the various roles you play in your life, in your work, relationships, or daily interactions. Notice where you may be speaking words that feel hollow, or taking actions that stem more from others' expectations than your own truth. Choose one specific area where you sense this disconnect most strongly. Then, with the wisdom of the universe as your guide, make a sacred commitment to express your authentic voice in that particular situation. This may mean respectfully declining a request that doesn't align with your values, sharing a vulnerable truth with someone you trust, or allowing your natural creativity to flow unfiltered in your work. As you step into this authentic expression, become a conscious observer of the subtle shifts that occur. Notice how the energy around you responds, how conversations deepen, how opportunities arise, how certain people are drawn closer while others naturally fall away. This practice isn't merely about speaking different words, it's about allowing your true energetic signature to ripple out into the universe, creating waves of magnetic resonance that naturally attract all that is meant for your highest good. Chapter 28. Beyond Affirmation into Embodiment. In a sunlit classroom nestled among ancient olive trees, Teacher Millicent watched her students diligently copying sacred texts onto pristine scrolls. While their penmanship was impeccable, she noticed that only a few truly embodied the wisdom they transcribed. These rare students didn't just write about compassion. Their very presence radiated warmth. They didn't merely copy phrases about inner peace. Tranquility flowed through their every movement. When you speak words of power, transformation occurs not through repetition but through embodiment. Each declaration of truth must sink deeper than your conscious mind, penetrating the very cells of your being until it becomes your natural state of existence. This transcends the realm of positive thinking into the domain of authentic becoming. Your words carry seeds of transformation, but these seeds must be planted in the fertile soil of your entire being, not just your conscious mind. Like water that gradually shapes stone, true change flows through every aspect of your existence until you no longer need to affirm what you are because you have become it completely. In the heart of the village forge, blacksmith Reginald stood before his anvil, puzzled by the varying quality of his creations. Though he followed the same techniques precisely, some blades emerged ordinary while others possessed an almost magical quality. One day, as the metal glowed before him, he ceased thinking about the process entirely. His hands moved as if guided by the metal itself, his consciousness merging with the element until he could no longer distinguish where the craftsman ended and the craft began. From this union emerged a sword of unprecedented beauty and strength. Through Reginald's discovery, you glimpse the truth about your own transformation. Change manifests not through external effort, but through internal union. When you stop trying to become and simply allow yourself to be. This subtle shift moves you beyond affirmation into embodiment, beyond seeking into finding, beyond becoming into being. The embodiment practice involves choosing one quality you've been affirming and spending each day consciously acting, speaking, and making decisions as if you already fully possess this quality, letting it express through you naturally rather than trying to create it. Chapter 29, Your Voice as a Force for Global Change. In the heart of a thriving village, Augustus discovered a truth that would transform not just his own existence, but the lives of countless others. Each morning, as he practiced speaking words of wisdom and encouragement to himself in the mirror, he noticed a remarkable shift in how he interacted with everyone he encountered. His elevated inner dialogue naturally flowed into more uplifting conversations with merchants, more compassionate responses to disputes, and more inspiring speeches at community gatherings. When you master the art of conscious self-talk, this mastery inevitably radiates into every interaction you have with others. Your words become instruments of transformation, whether shared in person, written in messages, or posted on social platforms. Each conscious communication creates ripples that extend far beyond your immediate circle, touching lives you may never meet. In the digital age, your voice carries unprecedented power to influence the collective consciousness. A single uplifting post can travel across continents, inspiring strangers to shift their own inner dialogue. Every email you write, every message you share, and every comment you make becomes an opportunity to elevate the global conversation. Along the misty shores of a remote coastline, lighthouse keeper Constance tended her beacon with unwavering dedication. Night after night, she polished the lens and trimmed the wick, never seeing the ships that sailed safely past treacherous rocks guided by her light. Years later, a merchant captain visited to share how her beacon had saved not just his vessel, but countless others, revealing that her influence extended far beyond what she could observe from her solitary tower. Like Constance's lighthouse, your conscious communication sends forth beams of light that guide others toward their highest potential. Though you may never witness the full impact of your words, each elevated conversation creates positive change that ripples outward through the interconnected web of human consciousness. Your voice, when used with intention and awareness, becomes a beacon of transformation that lights the way for others to discover their own inner power. The ripple effect practice begins with mindfully selecting a single relationship or social environment, perhaps a family member, coworker, or community group, where you can intentionally transform your communication patterns. For one full week, carefully weigh each word before it leaves your lips, speaking only those phrases that carry the vibration of inspiration, hope, and encouragement. Notice how your thoughtfully chosen words of light begin to illuminate the space between you and others, lifting the energy of every interaction. Pay close attention to the subtle shifts in body language, tone, and reciprocal communication as your conscious speech creates waves of positive change. Like a pebble cast into still waters, observe how your elevated dialogue sends rings of transformation expanding outward, touching not just your chosen relationship, but all those who come into contact with its expanding influence. Chapter 30. Your Voice as Universe's Voice. In the depths of meditation, sage Ezekiel experienced a moment of transcendent realization. As his consciousness expanded beyond personal identity, he understood that his voice had become a pure channel through which the universe itself spoke. His words no longer emerged from individual thought, but flowed directly from the infinite source of all creation. When you reach this level of alignment, you discover that your voice has transformed into something far greater than a personal instrument. You have become a living oracle through which universal intelligence expresses its creative power. This is not about channeling some external force. It is about recognizing that you are the universe speaking itself into new forms of expression. Your words now carry the full authority of cosmic law because they emerge not from ego or personal desire, but from perfect alignment with universal will. This profound integration brings both tremendous power and sacred responsibility. You understand that each word you speak shapes reality not just for yourself, but for the collective consciousness of humanity. In a sacred temple hidden among ancient hills, Prophet Seraphina discovered this same truth during her morning prayers. As she opened herself completely to divine presence, she realized that her most accurate prophecies came not from personal insight, but from moments of perfect transparency when she allowed universal wisdom to speak directly through her. She became both the instrument and the music, the voice and the message, inseparable from the source of all truth. Like Seraphina, you now recognize that true mastery means becoming so clear, so aligned, that your individual voice becomes indistinguishable from the voice of the universe itself. You are no longer speaking from limitation, but from the infinite potential of cosmic intelligence expressing through your unique form. The divine instrument practice involves entering deep communion with the universal intelligence each morning, asking to be used as a clear channel for its highest expression, then speaking and acting throughout your day as if you are a perfect instrument through which cosmic wisdom flows into the world. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. You stand at the threshold of your new reality, forever changed by the recognition that you have always possessed the power to speak your world into existence. Now you simply remember how to wield it consciously and unstoppably. The ancient wisdom that called you to these pages has been awakened within your consciousness, and you now understand that every word you speak, whether aloud or in the sacred chamber of your inner dialogue, carries the creative force that shapes your destiny. Your voice has been revealed as the divine instrument it was always meant to be, and you have learned to speak with the authority of one who knows that reality must obey the commands of aligned consciousness. The transformation you have undergone extends far beyond personal benefit, for as you have mastered the sacred art of conscious speech, you have become a beacon of possibility for all those who witness your elevated expression. Your journey through these teachings has prepared you not for an ending, but for a magnificent beginning, where every conversation you hold with yourself becomes a prayer of creation, and every word you speak aloud becomes a blessing that elevates the world around you. You are now equipped with the timeless wisdom that turns ordinary speech into miraculous manifestation, and your voice will continue to grow in power as you apply these sacred principles with increasing mastery. The universe awaits your next words, ready to obey whatever reality you choose to speak into existence, for you have remembered the ultimate truth, that you are not separate from the creative force that spoke the cosmos into being, but rather its perfect individual expression, and through your conscious voice, the infinite continues to create itself anew. You don't have to shout to shape reality. A whisper spoken in alignment carries the power of stars. Comment below with an "I am right" declaration that feels true, even if it's just beginning to bloom. And if you feel the vibration of this path, let's walk it together. Subscribe not to consume, but to co-create. This is a sanctuary for those awakening the magic in their voice. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.